Mandalorian,
Yeah,
season 3, episode 7.
the
Yes,
penultimate
yes, yes.
episode. Yes, no. Yes, no, no, yes.
This, I was bouncing off the walls. We're gonna have to start at the beginning here. I know we try not to do shot for shot, but there is a lot.
I mean, we can bounce all over, but there was a lot this episode.
So we started off with Moff Gideon getting phone call from New Republic woman.
Oh yeah, the insurgent.
And we were like, okay, but is she actually evil, or is she
So
is she just really sus, but she's actually trying to be good? Or
yeah, this was
what?
the thing. It started with her like she's walking through downtown Coruscant, and it's like,
Which
okay,
looks sick.
she's obviously going to meet someone. So then I was having the thing of, we're presuming she's bad, but what if she is actually good and she was like getting rid of the cloning guy because. So
She knew
it was
she
like,
couldn't be trusted. Yeah.
okay, we're about to find out which side she lies on here. And then we see a old Imperial probe unit rocking up, and I'm like, evil. It's evil. She's bad. And then it's Moff Gideon. We get the return and the reveal. Of which she was like, got rid of the Doctor, dealt with that issue.
Yeah. You need to know the Mandalorians are back and mounting an offensive.
Yeah, Gideon was just trying to be like, I thought you said there was no one going to help sort out the pirates.
Yeah.
And she's like, well, there wasn't, but Mandalorians got involved, a certain special Mandalorian. To which I feel got Moff Gideon a little scared.
Mm-hmm. And also the massive bit of foreshadowing as to where he was hiding.
Yes, which
in hindsight we all should have spotted, but I don't think anyone did.
We should have done, but yeah, do you know what it is? Oh, but from when we first saw him, like his armor that he was wearing, I didn't pick up on it when he was walking around without a helmet on, like just the chest bit. But it's like, we should have kind of picked up on the fact it was potentially Mandalorian themed. Suit. But I'm trying to think what then came. We then skip to.
No, because then we've got his meeting with the other heads.
Oh, the Shadow Council.
Yeah, so there's a big bit as he's walking into that meeting.
Yes.
Where we go by little tubes that look like they're used for cloning.
It's the cloning.
Yeah.
Facility.
So I'm like, oh, that's big.
Yeah.
Then we get into the meeting. And they're having a discussion about you need to be more careful right now that they think we're just warlords. They can't know we're working together to rebuild the empire. You're making a bit too much noise. Blah 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 blah. Then we find out fucking Hux. It wasn't Hux.
So it was
the First Order. It's like his dad or granddad.
Yeah. So it's Brendel Hux, who is the father of Gleason Hux, I think his name is, who was the one that kind of took over the First Order and all that.
Yeah, but I mean, he was also a double agent, wasn't he? Which is also crazy.
Yeah. But also, fun fact, that's the actor's brother.
Oh, is it? Oh, that's cool.
So that's why there's a very, like, even their facial shape and everything, they look similar.
Then you've got the other one who's talking about Thrawn.
Yeah, you got Thrawn's
representative.
Right-hand man.
And then they're just talking about Project Necromancer. Like, come on, we all know what that is.
Well, yeah, he mentions that Brendel Hux is dealing with Project Necromancer. Not that he seems that into doing clone stuff, but he seems to be in charge of it. We obviously, once again, Dave is trying to fix the Disney.
Dave is going to fix.
He is going to. He is doing everything in his power to make it all make sense and at least please the fans in the sense of like, it all works out and lines up.
Yeah. You might not like the story arc, but I'm going to make it make sense.
Yeah, exactly. And then, we've got Moff Gideon is in a very, like, Imperial space. We don't really know where it is. It's just, he then kind of, definitely a bit of they're all warlords and all have power trips and whatnot. And he's there like, oh, well, you keep mentioning Thrawn's coming back, but I hear nothing of Thrawn in the galaxy. maybe we need new leadership. I wonder who you think should the new leadership be.
Well, I mean, it's just like forgetting how phenomenal Giancarlo Esposito is in every role he's ever done ever.
Yeah.
But I mean, even if you look at his design, he's got like a kind of Vader-esque chess piece going on.
Mm-hmm.
And like everything about him just screams, oh, he's the heir apparent. Because Vader, like with the rule of two in the Sith, Vader was eventually supposed to get strong enough where he could kill and replace Palpatine and blah blah blah
Yeah.
blah blah. And it's almost like because he's designed himself like Vader, obviously Vader's dead, Palpatine's dead. He's like, it's me. I
Yeah.
am that guy. And it's just really interesting some of the design choices into Moff Gideon and how even other highly respected Imperial people seem to be a bit shook by Moff Gideon.
Yeah. And like, I think also leaning into that is like, he's very much obsessed with taking their best. Like, he talks about taking the best from all the like the clone troopers and the Mandalorians and all these different places and building the strongest army. And quite clearly wants to rightly be like, he really wants to finish off the Mandalorians and finish what he started. Like, he has like a proper grudge against them. But yeah, he like threatens new leadership. But I really did enjoy that From was getting name dropped a lot.
Yeah. And that episode very deliberately came out the weekend after
Yeah, so yeah.
Star Wars Celebration.
Yeah.
Like you can tell that there was not a room for any delay or anything in this.
And then yeah, we kind of he does a little like stands in the middle and in a way trying to do a bit of like a royal kind of morale thing to everyone. It's very much he clearly wants to be the one in charge. Which does pose an interesting thing because you've got to look as well to like the Disney trilogy. We didn't obviously Moff Gideon's not around, Thrawn's not around. Something I think one of them gets rid of the other. Whether we see it in this, I think this is going to be down the line when, and we'll get into it later, like the film that's been announced and whatnot. But there's clearly going to be some scuff of power for who's going to run the first order. But I think it was after the Shadow Council we then jump back to Navarro.
Yes, we go back to Navarro and we see the Imperial Star Cruiser coming overhead and everyone's panicking.
And then there's like every of the first shots of it, it's like there's something on the bottom of the ship, and then we get the reveal like part as it's going out, and it's just a big Mandalorian mythosaur skull.
Which looks dope on the bottom of that
yeah,
ship,
it does.
By the way.
And I'm sorry, that fleet is ridiculous. Like, just pulling up in a fucking Star Cruiser, because, yeah. Oh, by the way, we've done a paint job on it. Like,
I want to know why they bothered. That's a lot of paint.
They're Mandalorians. They want to flex.
But there's not even like that many of them. Like,
yeah,
all of them have spent collectively probably about a month trying to paint that mythosaur skull on there.
This is also the thing I was thinking. I was like, with how many of the dropship ones that like Bo flies, they've got a bunch of them on the start, and I was like, that Star Destroyer is like, I'm sorry, you're walking down a corridor and not seeing anyone for like 3 floors.
Either the Empire had far too many people operating these ships, or
the Mandos are just that they're that good they don't need them.
Mandalorians are severely understaffed on these ships, and the ship runs like a piece of shit where everyone's going, "This is bumpy as fuck."
Well, it'll just be that. No, it'll be like cockpit. Everyone's flying it fine, but it's like if there's an issue, there's one guy down in the engine room on his own, and they're like, "We've lost something." It's like, "Yeah, I'm working on it," and he's
Captain.
like running to the other end of the ship where there's like the ship. He's just like fucking running around like a headless chicken. Yeah, no, I did think it feels lacking on Mandalorians for the size of ship they've got, but it's just they can get around that and say maybe we don't see them all, but and then so obviously they're panicking, and then the High Magistrate is like, "No, it's fine, it's our friends. Look at the symbol." By the way, Mando, look, I've got a present for you. Uh, in comes IG-11, but it's
IG-12.
IG-12 now, being controlled by, oh, I forget what the little guys are
The
called.
Carillions?
Yes, the little mini ones that he met
Ceruleans,
with.
maybe? Something like that. Yeah. The
Uh,
little droid workers who
yeah,
Grogu loves.
and he
Grogu
comes.
has a reaction to them like we have a reaction to Grogu.
Yes, and Grogu sees him, and then obviously the little guy jumps out, and he's like, uh, "Baby, no
Bad baby, no squeezing.
yeah, bad baby, no squeeze." As he runs past him, uh, and then High Magistrate's like, "Well, maybe someone could pilot. Maybe Grogu can fit in it." And Mando being like, a
Yeah, he's like, no.
classic no, then being dad mode is just like, no, that's not safe for the child.
Yeah,
Nope.
he is too young for that.
Yeah. Kid
Let's just put him in and see if he fits.
puts him in, and at that moment, Grogu enters toddler phase.
Uh-huh.
At that specific moment, he becomes a toddler, and the fact, like, they didn't need to do this, but the fact they added a yes/no button into that, like, there was no need. They didn't need it, but they chose to do that. And I'm so glad they did, because then he starts walking around going, yes, yes, yes,
No, it's
yes.
before that. It's like, okay, right, cool, he fits. Take him out now. And Grogu's like, no.
No. No. What do you mean, no? No.
You're too young for that. No. You cannot pilot that. No. And then you got behind Magistrate. He's like, he wants to do it. Yes. And then you're running around the room. Yes, yes,
it's
yes,
like,
yes.
it was so funny, but also at the same time, it's like, it's the first time that, in a way, Grogu's been able to communicate freely,
Easily, yeah.
like, in a way that we also understand it as the viewer. So it was very cool to see that. And yeah, also very funny to have this kid now in a weaponized suit walk around going yes, no, yes, no, yes, no, like any toddler would.
It was when he like leaves in the suit and they're walking down and you just hear the echo yes, yes,
Yeah,
yes. And like again, the body actor for Mando being phenomenal as always, just walking looking so defeated.
yeah, just being like that
hearing
dad.
yes,
There's
yes,
like,
yeah,
I
it's like
shouldn't have given, and I shouldn't have let my child have this toy.
regretting getting the
Yeah,
noisy toy. Look, we were all there as kids. We got the noisy
yeah.
toy, and then 2 days later, magically, it wasn't working anymore
Mhm.
because Dad had taken the
Oh,
batteries out.
batteries have run out. Yeah. And then obviously there's the bit in the street when he's walking down. Now he's got full control. Like, he can do whatever he wants in a suit. He like goes to start. He just grabs food and starts eating it. And like a dad being like, "No, you can't do that." Has to pay the vendor because obviously he's eating. And then he grabs a fruit, which I forget the name of it, but you might not know the reference yet. I don't know how much of Rebels you've started watching.
Well, I've only seen the first episode so far.
Okay. That fruit is mentioned multiple times in Rebels as like a little fun recurring item. So yeah, it was cool to see one of those actually get picked up and then crushed because Grogu doesn't understand what he can do with the suit. And then once again, Mando has to pay. It's the perfect. I'm so glad they've done this.
Yeah, it was really, really good. So then we like everyone's landed. We get that really tense scene
Yes,
where everyone's
both
like,
clans.
"Oh, is it going to kick off?" Then the armorer's like, "Ding, ding, make food, make camp."
Ding ding, dinner's ready.
Yeah,
Uh,
like everyone, check your egos at the door. We got shit to do.
yeah, and they do. I mean, they do a good job of keeping their egos in check
They
for a
do.
while.
So I guess now makes more. I know it's a little bit of a jump, but we'll talk about where that kind of ego clashing leads to. Once they're on Mandalore and they're on the big ship, and they're playing a kind of Mandalorian chess is the only way to really describe it. It's
Yeah,
a board game that involves tactics. They're having a disagreement about how it goes. So then they both you get Axe and you get Paz Vizsla having a big old fight.
yeah, the two biggest egos.
Yeah, and then everyone's like, no one from either side can step in because that then devolves everything. We've got to let these two just solve it. And then further proof that Grogu is going to be the Mandalore. He's going to be the one to reunite everyone as they're fully about to go like ready to kill each other. He just gets in between them with his robot, pushes them apart, and goes, "No,
No, no, and then gives a nod to Bo, like, because he obviously sees all the Mandos are just nodding at each other when they do something. It's like he gives an approving nod.
Grogu is going to be the one to unite the clans.
He is. I did find it funny with that chess bit where he's like, yeah, but that's a move that this piece can do. And he's like, I don't care. This piece is now a certain type of knight. He is both pieces in one. I am allowed to do this move. I've made it up. And then they're just like throwing insults at each other.
Yeah.
But that kind of Paz Vizsla kind of leading into the big brute character of do what I want, not
Fuck, I'll
smart.
do what I want.
Yeah. But yeah, we see obviously back when they do first meet, they have the little like speech moment of we're gonna go back to Mandalore, retake it. Who volunteers?
Yeah, then we get a little I am Spartacus moment where everyone's like,
Yes,
I volunteer, I volunteer. No,
you have
I
my
volunteer.
axe.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's like it's a bit of a tense moment when no one's doing anything. Then it's like axe volunteers, and then you get a few of Bo's crew, and then you get a couple of the Forge
Children of the
crew.
Watch. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Children
I
of the
guess it's
Watch.
kind of like no one wants to say it, so then you get one or two from like each side saying it, and then a couple more egos get to play with like, well, they can't represent better than we can. So like,
Well,
yeah, and then it
it's
becomes like a
also
weird kind of
like
competition itself of oh, we're all gonna do it.
yeah, and it's also kind of that thing of like the ones that are clearly just the not the leader head like facing figures of each side. The ones that probably would have immediately said yes, but they're like, well, I don't want to be seen. I don't want to say yes, and I'm the only one, and then they out me. But then as soon as like some of the bigger egos say yes, it's like, oh, okay, it's safe for me to now volunteer myself. And they get like a proper little squad going with the plan to have one ship go down, clear things out, and then bring everyone down.
Exactly.
How wrong that went.
Well, I mean, I guess this is as good a time as any, isn't it? So
Mhm.
the internet is in a bit of a divide. I'm not sure how I feel. People are starting to feel like the armorer may
Is
have had
sus.
something to do. So when I was watching the episode, I'll be honest, I didn't really think anything of it. I'll be honest, when she got in the ship to take off, and I knew
So
that
I
obviously they couldn't communicate, I was
yeah.
worried that because obviously at this point I hadn't put together that got Moff Gideon was on
Well, yeah.
Mandalore. I thought they were going to show up. And I thought, oh, she's a main character by herself on that ship with side characters. Are they going to turn up and blow that all to shit and all the Mandalorians are going to be stuck on the planet?
Mm. So
How wrong I was.
yeah. So I thought it came across a little weird in the moment for me because while yes, it felt like she is trying to help bring both sides together. So it felt like she was very much trying to be, I'll take the survivors and whatnot and the injured ones, and I'll do my part that way. But then in my head, I'm like, you're the armorer. Why do you not want to be there for the like? Surely out everyone going to the forge, you're the one who should be at the forge.
Yeah.
Like it just felt weird in that sense. Like, why is she leaving and not wanting to go to the forge straight away?
Yeah.
Um,
Why can't someone else who's been stuck on this planet all these years and probably could do with some help go
yeah.
off?
And this is also at the point where we'd met the three. Well, we got introduced to the three new Mandalorian guys who've been living on the
Yeah.
surface. And there's also some talk of the people on the boat being sus. Now, I don't think the people on the boat are sus. I think they have just been existing on this planet. And like they said, some people have gone underground to explore and never come back. We later find out probably why. And I think they've just been living like nomads, keeping to themselves. I don't know if you also thought this, but when that creature started breaking out of the
I thought that was
ground,
Mythosaur.
I was like, oh shit, it's the Mythosaur. Mythosaur's going to come out and Bo's going to light the dark saber
Aim
and be
it.
like, by the way, guys, I saw this guy already. Look, he's chill with me, and climb on top of it. And I was like, this is how it's going to be.
Yeah.
Why they reacted so late, I don't know. It felt like they saw this thing coming out of the ground. They were just like, wow. Oh shit,
Well,
we're now right next to it.
I guess we just don't know if like moving rocks in
Yeah,
that way
true.
weren't actually that uncommon. So they're like, okay, cool. It's just doing what kind of happens.
It's just some bit of the ground collapsing or something.
Yeah, like that's not massively uncommon. And then last minute they see the actual thing coming out, and they're like, ah, shit, what is that?
It just absolutely decimates that thing. But
Yeah.
also happens to be right next to the entrance down into the forge, so handy. They all
Yeah,
run off down and
that's a very
just
standard kind
yeah.
of.
Oh no, something went wrong, but we're right
Yeah,
where we need to be.
yeah. It's just writing in it.
Yeah. And then yeah, they disappear off down and like arrive in the they're like, this is what remains of the forge. And it look like we've seen what it looks like underground with like the aesthetic, and it does look cool being back on Mandalore and seeing it in live action. But then they get ambushed, but not by any ordinary stormtroopers. These are Beskar troopers, I guess you can call them.
Do we know if they're actually wearing Beskar?
So there's later on, Moff Gideon mentions about he used an alloy,
Yeah.
and their shots at first, some of them were bouncing off. So I think that's why, like, they can. So I think we've talked about in the past why like Mando's suit is so strong, but these other guys aren't, and it's
Yeah,
because
because Mando's
Mando,
got so much Beskar.
his is pure Beskar, which is, by the way, he's basically wearing like a platinum suit.
Yeah,
Like
he's
he's dripped out in value.
yeah, and I guess like the argument could be, well, you're walking around in a suit of diamonds. How are you not getting robbed? And he goes, well, because how's anyone gonna fucking rob me?
Yeah.
Are you gonna fuck around with a Mandalorian, one of the ultimate warrior species, who's also dripped out in full Beskar, or do you step out of the way and go, hello?
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, it's some sort of Beskar alloy. And obviously all their suits are very Mandalorian-esque in design. Like a weird a mix slash blend of like the new stormtroopers that and then like Mandalorian armor.
Yeah.
Very cool little fight scene. Getting to see more Mandalorians versus potentially Mandalorians.
Yes. So I mean that's still a bit up in the air.
I'm wondering if it's a mix of some Mandalorians and some just conscripted stormtroopers or like loyalists to
Well,
Gideon.
we know Moff Gideon has definitely got a knack for creating some of his own loyalists.
Yes, he has like loyalists from his old crew that are still
Yeah.
rocking around.
What I found really interesting was because maybe I'm just a dumbass. At this point, I was only just starting to consider. Uh, my initial thought when I first saw them stormtroopers were, oh, they were waiting for them. Not this is their base.
So I was like,
As
oh
they
shit, it's a
start,
trap.
yeah. So as they start chasing them, like the ones that are left
Mm-hmm.
down like them caves, I'm like, oh shit, this is a trap. They're operating here. And then we start seeing them corridors, them very imperial corridors.
So it goes
and I'm
from
like, oh shit.
yeah. This was the thing. I was like, at that first initial point, and they retreat, and Bo's like chase them.
Yeah, onwards.
I was like, oh shit, this was an ambush. Like they're returning to wherever like their ships are landed, and they're gonna try and escape.
Yeah.
And then they're running through cave, and then every so often a bit of the cave has some metal walling that's very imperial-esque design. And I'm like, hang on, this is structured buildings that are not old structured, but this is new infrastructure. And then it's like they end up in a corridor that is an imperial corridor. And I'm like, at the moment I was like, oh shit, this is their base. Like they've taken this over. And then we get the full fucking scene of the cliffside.
And while Star Wars has always got a decent amount of fair criticism, I think it says a lot about how consistent they are. That you can tell imperial structure from none. The fact that everyone simultaneously, when they start seeing them corridors, is like, that's imperial design, is crazy.
And that's on the art departments of Lucasfilms. Because
like,
they have
so impressive. Fictional architecture.
Yeah. Like, and having set design language for set
Yeah.
things.
Like me and you, having grown up in England, we'll drive about and we'll see houses in the Victorian style. Oh, we know that was built during the Victorian
Yeah,
era
or
because of the
Tudor,
style.
or
Yeah,
yeah.
the fact that they've got historical,
Mhm.
fictional factions that's architecture is so compoundly and consistently designed
And
that
here,
we see a fucking corridor and we're like, that's Imperial, is wild.
what's even more wild is if you were probably to put stuff from the prequels, the original trilogy, Mandover, like all of from across the whole span, there will be change in how it like looks, but only subtle changes that it still overall has that imperial feel throughout, an empire feel,
Yeah.
whatever you want to call it. That even at this point, like it probably does look different to some of the older stuff, but it's like instantly everyone knows, oh shit, we're in the enemy's base. Then you get the big reveal of like, as we've seen many times in different Star Wars things, they build into rock sides. They love to do that. And then we get that, and then they show that there's fucking TIE fighters, and you're like, oh, this is base of operation.
This is not good.
And the showing the TIE fighters, it was at that point where I'm like, oh shit, this like Moff Gideon is here. Like, it's not just like it's not just like a base of operation. This is Moff Gideon's base.
This is the base of operation.
Yes. We get the big fight moment. Well, we get the reveal.
Yeah.
Mando gets cut off and captured, and Grogu has to watch on. Which I'm sorry, he went down like a champ. Like,
My guy was not pulling any punches.
no, and
He was
it took
he was on
4 of them
smoke.
to grapple, like grappling hook him to get him to stop being able to fight, and then they had to disarm him. I'm worried what they're gonna do to my man. I'm worried they're gonna put him in a mind flayer thing, sort of machine, or probe
In we
him.
trust.
I think Grogu we trust. He's gonna go full IG-12 mode and get his dad back.
Yeah.
But yeah, that happens, and Moff Gideon does his big reveal of like,
Yeah.
I've
got
been
my
here
new
the whole
Beskar
time.
ally. Yeah. My new Beskar ally drip. Puts on his helmet with
Which
the Maul spikes.
with the same similar spikes to what the armor has, which is why people are now sus of the armor. And again, reference to. So this is where I'm unsure on the armor, right? Because we get a moment on back on the boat, jumping back a little bit, where they're having like a meal, and there's mention of the Death Squad, and they're
The
like,
Death
"Oh,
Watch.
Death Watch, sorry," and being like, "Oh, for the Death Watch, I'm surprised they're still around." Oh, well, they don't exist. They were all scattered to the moons, which
Yeah.
people have taken of she was part of Death Watch,
Mm-hmm.
which would lead into why she has the spikes like Darth Maul, because Death Watch allied with Maul.
Yeah.
I'm wondering if it's a sense of, yes, she was part of that, and then it's like Moff Gideon just, I mean, he's the evil guy. He's obviously going to be like, oh, Maul was a great figure. Also had a thing with the Mandalorians. I'm going to also just tie into that. Whether or not they actually are connected, we don't know. But yeah, his suit looks sick. The black and red, definitely going for that Sith Mandalorian vibe.
Well, I guess the other interesting thing is if Moff Gideon has been able to work out how to forge Beskar alloy, it's clearly like something that you can work out pretty easily. So why is the armor even important unless she taught him?
Well, here's my thought. I'm gonna go with the thought process of some of those. We'll call them Beskar troopers, are Mandalorians. Some of Death Squad, or ones that did go underground or just got recruited and turned to him, whatnot. I think there are some, and I would imagine some of them were armorers, because I remember the armorer said in the Great Forge there was many armorers working. So there are more. She's not the only one that knows how to do stuff with Beskar. It could have just been another armorer that has turned sides. Maybe it is her feeding information about how to make the alloy.
That just feels a bit too convenient, doesn't it?
Well, yeah. I think there's some Mandalorians have helped feed him how to make an alloy, or have done the legwork and he's just using it. Uh, but then yeah, he does this whole thing. He's like, "Yep, see you later. Caught you in a trap." Door's shut. Um, well, yeah, the front door opens. Fat firefight. The man Pazviz going full ham mode with that minigun.
My
Absolutely,
guy was ready to fight God.
he was rinsing them while Bo is using the dark saber to cut themselves a way out.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, by the way, the whole time that front door's down and he's doing his little like speech, like how we got Mando, blah blah blah. I'm like, why the fuck are you not cutting through the door and just going at him? Just you've got to essentially got a fucking lightsaber. Well, it is a lightsaber at your side. Just cut through the door. Come on.
Uh-huh.
But no, she cuts them out the back door to give them a chance to escape. Meanwhile, Paz Vizsla's like rinsing,
Oh yeah.
people. Like my guy is dropping them like flies. Like every single wave is like next wave, next wave, just rinsing them to the point where the classic game mechanic here, gun overheating, like he melts, like he full autos that minigun till it's melted itself.
Yeah. And then he used it as a melee weapon.
Yeah, then he's like,
well,
ah,
fuck
shit,
you.
it stopped firing. Well, blunt force weapon. And then he just
like
starts.
the old Borderlands gun where instead of reloading you just throw it as a hand grenade.
Yeah. And then he's like, he just starts grabbing them and throwing, like, he full on just hand to hand combat modes. And like, he even gets one of the guys and just starts beating the shit out of him on the ground. And you're just like, okay,
So
this man
funny.
is fighting to the end. And then the way that he just kicks the last two off.
Oh yeah, he didn't even want to risk them being unconscious. He's like, "You better be fucking dead."
Yeah, he's just like, nah, this is Sparta, and just kick them off the edge. At which point you're like, oh shit, he's like beat the fuck up and tired now, but like he won. And yes, like the Praetorian guards that Moff Gideon had asked for, uh, so they arrive. Now we saw the Praetorian guards in the Disney trilogy.
Mm-hmm.
These ones look way fucking better. And don't get me wrong, I never had a problem really with how they looked. I know a lot of people hated the look of them. I think they look way better with like a more of a knight slash Mandalorian esque helmet
Yeah.
and a bit more of a Mando esque armor. But they were still rocking the like electric purpley weapons.
Yeah.
They're very cool. And unfortunately, yeah, they just at that point it's like you can't really do much because they're essentially lightsaber esque weapons and
I mean, I think the whole point was make Paz Vizsla look like an unstoppable force,
mm-hmm,
so that when these three come in and make light work of him, the
mm-hmm.
viewer really understands the stakes of how dangerous these three are.
Yeah, they're like elite force with elite weaponry.
Yeah.
And even then, it took three of them to take Paz Vizsla down.
Mm-hmm.
But they're, yeah, brutal end, but what a final stand from the man.
Always.
The sad thing is, like, Bo-katan, that's the second Vizsla now. She's watched die fighting so she can get away. It's like,
Mm-hmm.
and the man's got a son.
Yeah. That I am so down for Grogu and Vizsla's son to just go ham and then end Gideon as like four dads.
Well, it's like his sons are the last. Well, we presume one of the last Vizslas, so he's got a pretty like big weighted name to carry in Mandalorian in the future.
Uh-huh.
But yeah, the Praetorian Guards very sick. I mean, we've known about them coming for since season 2. There was a picture leaked
Uh-huh.
when season 2 is in filming, and everyone's been waiting to see when the fuck they're gonna show up. I think it delivered. Also, again, helps Phil Dave once again helping make sense of like, oh look, Praetorian Guards were a force that was put together.
Mm-hmm.
Back here, this is why they rock up, and we never really saw them. They're kind of like a new thing. I'm trying to think what else went down.
It's a big one, and it leaves a lot for the
finale.
finale.
Yes, because you've got like going into the finale now. You've got obviously them guys are on the run, trying to get back to the surface or whatnot out the cave. You've got Armor has gone back to the fleet that's above Mandalore that has no contact with them. Then you've got Mando's been captured. There's a lot of people speculating we're gonna get Boba Fett and Fennec rock up to help and to also bring the Manticore.
Yeah.
Now, if that's true and we get a Boba Fett on Manticore, Bo-Katan riding a Mythosaur,
Mm-hmm.
and then I don't know what Jin's doing. He needs his own. Maybe him and Grogu can get that other giant creature under control. We know Grogu's good with animals.
I just feel because Grogu's been just a little bit of like a cute / comedy character this series. Not in a
Yeah,
bad way. There's not been like a big role for him to play. I've
yeah.
got a feeling he's got a big moment coming up.
I think the reason he got the IG-12 suit is he is going to go on an absolute rampage getting his dad back. Because it's even though it hasn't got the memory circuit of the IG-11, it has the same weapon system. So I'm ready for Grogu to just like full force focus and just unlock some like forgotten knowledge and just go full
Super
machine.
Saiyan.
Yeah, and just absolute tear through like a squadron on his own.
Yeah, I'm down for it to be honest. And he is seeming more and more Mandalorian by the day.
Mm-hmm. I think we're gonna get a big space battle as well, because obviously all the TIE fighters or TIE destroyers were going.
Interceptors and bombers, yeah.
Yeah, they were setting off. So we're gonna get a huge space battle with the fleet. Something's gonna have to happen on the surface. Um, yeah, it's there's a lot still to come. I'm
Yeah,
hoping we get like a fat episode.
I want to know more about Gideon's past. I
Mm,
feel like there's a key bit of information hidden in his past that's going to blow this whole thing wide open.
I think
Like he's some kind of Mandalorian who was fucking ostracized or something.
mm, I think he is a fanatic of Darth Maul,
Maybe.
but then in the sense of like because Darth Maul for a very brief moment was in control of Mandalore. Um, I think he's jealous of what he failed to accomplish. Because the ones on the like dark side and the Imperial, they're always just greedy for more power than their fellow imperialists. Like they all just want to one up each other.
Yeah.
So I think it's just a pure greed for completing something that they failed to do, which is get Mandalore under control.
Yeah.
He wants
Could be
to be
right.
that guy and then sees that as his ticket to then running things. Psych Thrawn's gonna come along and just absolutely smack him down.
Yeah. But it's been good so far, and I cannot wait for next week's episode.
Yes, big finale.